Hello dear listeners, welcome back to our YouTube channel Reddit Audio Tales. So let's start today's story. My wife opened our marriage without telling me, so I got full-blown revenge on her. Dad, really? Mom's right, you really are a fool. Those were the last words I heard from my daughter before I hung up. Over the next few days she sent texts and left voice messages, but I deleted them all after hearing the first few words. They echoed my ex-wife's sentiments. My daughter made her choice 10 years ago, and I see her attempts at reconciliation as insincere. I'm Tom Williams. I was married to Kayla Williams. We were together for 17 years until everything fell apart, and of course I got the blame. Our divorce courts are biased against men, always siding with the ex-wife and giving her full custody, letting her paint me as the villain. The divorce laws in this country seem to be written by people who hate men. We had 2 kids, a 14-year-old son and a 16-year-old daughter. I thought everything was great. I loved my wife and I believe she loved me. Our kids were smart, athletic and well-behaved. Carly, our daughter, was a daddy's girl, and Josh, our son, was a friendly and athletic boy. I worked as a mechanical engineer and Kayla was an accountant. We both kept fit and looked good. Carly idolized me and wanted to be an engineer like me. She got her driver's license on her 16th birthday and loved driving. She would help me in the garage from a young age, handing me tools while I worked on my car collection. We often went to car shows together, spending weekends immersed in our shared hobby. I was good at household chores and Carly liked helping me. I taught her plumbing, electrical work, drywall, and painting. She even assisted with installing new appliances and laying a concrete slab. For most things she came to me for advice and help, while she turned to her mom for girl issues. We were open and honest with each other, and she came to me when she was in trouble. Josh, on the other hand, wasn't into cars. He was a good student, excelling in English literature and social studies, and talked about becoming a lawyer. He was more attached to his mom than me. A few weeks ago, Kayla started acting distant and occasionally zoned out. When I asked if everything was okay, she brushed me off. It was Friday night when I got home from work at 6 and things felt off. There were no dinner smells and Carly didn't greet me. I assumed the kids were out with friends. I put my briefcase in my office and went upstairs to change. In the bedroom I found Kayla's black dress, lingerie, stockings and heels laid out. It seemed we were going out, though she hadn't told me. She was in the bathroom applying makeup when I walked in. "Where are we going, honey?" I asked, taking off my shirt. "We're not going anywhere," she replied. "Then why are you wearing so much makeup and laying out a hot outfit?" "I'm not going anywhere with you. I'm going out." "Really, where are you going and where are the kids?" "The kids are spending the night with friends. I have a date and I won't be back until morning." "A date? You're not coming back until morning?" "Exactly. If all goes well, I'll spend the night with him." "Are you insane? You can't expect me to put up with this. If you want to go out, wait until the divorce is final." "Stop being ridiculous. There won't be a divorce. I just need this one night to prove to myself that I'm still attractive. If you love me, you'll let me have this. If you loved me, you wouldn't even think about it. I love you, but I need this. I'm getting older and need to feel attractive." Clarence, who's 10 years younger, has been flirting with me and I accepted his proposal. "It's just one night to boost my confidence. I'm not putting up with this. Remember our wedding vows? If you do this, you're breaking them. It's just one night. Afterward, it'll be back to normal, I promise." "Are you stupid, or do you think I am? If you break your vows, it's over. I'll see a lawyer immediately." "Don't be an idiot. There will be no divorce. If you try, I'll fight you and make you lose everything. I'll get full custody of the kids and make them hate you." "You say you love me but threaten all this?" "I do love you, but if you try to divorce me, I'll fight. I just need this one night." "And what about in a few years when you feel the same way again?" "It won't happen again. It's just one night to satisfy my curiosity. Maybe I'll even learn something new to spice up our bed life. If you go through with this, our marriage is over. Cancel the date and we can try marriage counseling. We'll talk about counseling when I get back tomorrow." She continued getting ready. I changed into jeans and a t-shirt and left the room. Later she came downstairs in her outfit, clutching a small purse, and checked herself in the mirror by the door. I sat in the living room as a car horn honked outside. "He's here. I have to go now. I'll see you in the morning." She leaned in to kiss me, but I turned away and she kissed the air instead. She frowned at me. "Fine. Once you calm down, everything will be back to normal." With that, she turned to leave. I made one last plea. "If you walk out that door, it's over. Think twice about throwing away 17 years of marriage." She looked back at me. "I'm not throwing anything away. I'll be back and everything will be fine." With that, she opened the door and left. I started crying, mourning the loss of my marriage and the woman I had loved exclusively for 20 years, 17 years of marriage, a year of engagement, and 2 years of dating. I couldn't understand how she could do this to me. She never expressed any dissatisfaction. Our bed life was normal and she never asked for more. I would have given her anything she wanted. We never fought, just had normal disagreements that we always resolved. I had already decided what to do if she left. Half an hour later, still waiting for her to come back, I finally got up and went to work. She didn't return, so I went upstairs to implement my plan. It wasn't great, but it was all I had. Our house had 4 bedrooms, the master bedroom, Carly's room, Josh's room, and a large guest bedroom with a private bathroom. I moved into the guest room. It took me 2 hours to move everything. I knew the divorce laws in our no-fault state favored the wife, meaning she'd likely get the house, the kids, alimony, and I'd be left with the bills. Settled in my new room, I went to our home office and logged into our online banking. Years ago, I opened an account in my name to buy gifts for her without ruining the surprise. Now, I decided to use it differently. I transferred half of our checking and savings to my personal account. Then I paid off and canceled all our credit cards and issued new ones in my name. I'd transfer my direct deposits at work on Monday and call our broker to split our investments. Having done what I could, I poured a glass of Jim Beam and went to bed. It was a rough night. The bed felt empty without her and my mind wouldn't stop racing. I kept thinking about what I could have done differently. Should I have tried to stop her? Confronted the guy with a baseball bat or a weapon? Was it worth going to jail? I barely slept, dozing off now and then. When morning light came through the window, I got up, took a shower, shaved, and dressed. I went downstairs, had breakfast, and read the paper with a couple of cups of coffee. At 9, Kayla returned. I was in my office looking at apartments for rent. I had already researched attorneys and scheduled an appointment for Monday afternoon. "Good morning, sweetheart. I'm home as promised," she said cheerfully as she entered. I ignored her. My anger had been building all night and morning. I realized I didn't deserve her disrespect and there was nothing I could have done to stop her. It was her choice entirely. People say you can't stop loving someone suddenly, but you can turn that love into hate. Hate still has emotion. Indifference is the true opposite of love. By this morning, my love for her had turned to hate. I focused on her lack of respect, her threats, and her disregard for my feelings. "Honey, where are you?" "I'm home, just like I said," she called, searching for me. "There you are," she said, finding me in my office. "I'm back and things can go back to normal." She reached out to hug and kiss me. I shoved her back. "Keep your filthy lips off me. God only knows what you've touched." Her eyes widened in shock. I'd never spoken to her like that before. "You need to go to the clinic and get a full set of STD tests. I want to see a notarized clean report." Her expression changed from shock to anger. "I'm going to our room to nap. I've had a long night. I hope you've calmed down and will apologize for your rudeness." I couldn't help but smile, anticipating her reaction. "What the hell did you do?" she yelled from upstairs. "Where are your clothes and toiletries?" She barged back into my office. "My things are exactly where they should be. Your closet and drawers are empty. Your side of the dresser is empty. Everything is in its place. My clothes are neatly in my new bedroom closet and dresser." "In my bedroom?" "Yes. I moved out of your bedroom. I'll live in my new room until I find an apartment and move out." I decided not to mention the finances yet. Let her figure it out. Her eyes narrowed. "We'll discuss this later. I'll give you a week to recover, then I'll put everything back to normal." "Not until I get a notarized report that you're free of all diseases," I said, turning back to the computer. I stayed in my office most of the day. The kids came home early. I wondered how long it would take them to notice something was wrong. I found some promising apartments, filled out forms and scheduled viewings for Tuesday. I printed out our financial statements for my lawyer on Monday. Although I had no illusions about selling the house, knowing its value might help. I spent the rest of the day researching divorce laws in our state. I knew I'd get screwed over but needed to understand how badly. "Daddy, dinner's ready," Carly said, peeking through the door. "Okay, sweetie. Thank you." Kayla greeted me in the kitchen with a radiant smile, trying to placate me with kindness and show me what I'd lose. She dressed up, did her hair and spent a lot of time cooking my favorite meal. She offered me a glass of wine and leaned in for a kiss. I pulled away, seeing the pain in her eyes. I poured the wine down the sink, grabbed a tumbler, filled it with ice and poured some Jim Beam. The kids noticed this as I joined them at the table, ignoring Kayla. Dinner was tense. I kept the kids talking, but it was clear we were in trouble. I didn't eat, just passed the dishes around and sipped my drink. "Dad, aren't you going to eat?" Josh finally asked. "No, not hungry," I replied. After the most awkward dinner ever, I refilled my glass and went back to my office. I didn't help clear the table. Half an hour later, I shut down my computer, grabbed my truck keys and left for a quiet restaurant dinner. Afterward, I had a few drinks at a bar. When I got home late, I made enough noise closing my room door so Kayla could hear. I locked it and wedged a chair under the handle. She tried to get me to open it for about 5 minutes before giving up. The next morning, I got up early, deciding it was a soccer day. There were 3 games and I planned to watch them all. There were chores to do but I ignored them. I wouldn't be living here much longer so Kayla could handle it. After almost finishing my coffee, I started making an omelet. I was just finishing when Carly walked into the kitchen. "Hi sweetie, want an omelet?" I asked. "Sure dad, thanks." She took her juice and sat at the table. Josh came in a few minutes later and I told him I'd make his omelet next. Carly ate while I cooked Josh's. When I heard Kayla in the hallway, I poured the last cup of coffee and turned off the kettle. She walked in, took a cup from the cupboard and saw the empty pot. "You couldn't leave me a cup?" she asked. "The pot's right there, you know how to make it." "Never mind. So you're making scrambled eggs?" "Made them." "Feel free to make your own," I replied, handing Josh's plate. Then I walked out of the kitchen. Near noon, I was in the living room watching the game. Kayla brought a plate of food and a beer, setting them on the coffee table. "I brought you lunch and a beer so you won't miss any of the game," she said cheerfully. Without looking at her, I kicked the plate and bottle onto the floor. She stood in shock. During a commercial, I went to the kitchen for a beer. Yes, it was a waste, but I wasn't drinking anything she brought me. I didn't clean up. She brought it, she could clean it. "We need to discuss this," Kayla began. "Shut up, the game is on," I replied. "You need to fix your attitude. The kids have noticed. They'll notice when I move out." "You're not moving out and there won't be a divorce," she insisted, walking away. Around noon, Carly and Josh came in together and sat facing me. "Dad, what's going on with you and Mom?" Carly asked. "Your mom and I are getting a divorce. It has nothing to do with you. We both love you. It's just between us." "But why?" Josh asked. "Because she did something I can't accept. Even after I told her how I felt, she did it anyway. She's not remorseful." "You mean her date on Friday night?" Carly asked. "You know about that?" I was surprised. "Yeah. Mom told us you weren't happy about it. So you know she cheated on me." "No, she didn't," Josh said. "She told you about it, so it wasn't cheating. She didn't sneak around and it was only once." "Yes, Dad," Carly added. "She said if you really loved her, you'd let her have that night and move on." "Really? If she loved me, she wouldn't consider sleeping with anyone else." "Come on, Dad. It was just once and she promised not to do it again," Carly said. "She made a vow to me 17 years ago in front of God and our families to forsake all others until death. If she can break that vow, how can I trust her private promises?" "But you vowed to be there for her in good times and bad," Josh said. "That's right, but she broke her vow, releasing me from mine." "We don't understand why you'd break up the family over one night," Carly said. "Why am I being blamed for what she did?" "She's not leaving. She wants to move on." "You're the one leaving and making a big deal out of it," Carly insisted. After that, things didn't improve. I tried explaining my position but they wouldn't listen. Kayla had convinced the kids that Mom did what she needed to be happy, and Dad didn't love them enough to accommodate her. They believed my ego was tearing the family apart. They saw it as one night out of 20 years, insignificant compared to 7,305 nights together. When they realized I wouldn't accept their stance, they left and I watched the rest of the game in peace. As dinner was being prepared, another favorite meal of mine, I ignored it and watched the post-game show. Josh came in and said dinner was ready. I grabbed my keys and headed out. "Where you going?" "Dinner's ready," Josh asked. "I'm going to the sports bar to watch the game and eat there," I replied. "But Mom fixed. I'll be back after the game." The sports bar had a good burger and seasoned fries. I had 1 beer per quarter, enough to drive the 5 minutes home. When I returned, everyone was in bed. The plate and bottle were gone from the coffee table, which made me smile. Monday morning, I left early and called my broker from the office to split our investments. I opened a new account and transferred half of our investments into it. Then I updated my HR records, removing Kayla from my retirement account and listing Carly and Josh as heirs. I also updated my direct deposit to my new account. I informed my boss about the divorce and needing time off. He was supportive. My lawyer confirmed custody would depend on the kids' preference, which didn't look promising based on our conversation. I spent Monday evening at the sports bar watching football and eating tacos. I ignored texts and calls from Kayla but told Carly where I was. She wasn't happy. When I got home, they all gave me dirty looks. I went to my office and by the time I went to bed, everyone was asleep. Tuesday morning, I left early before anyone else was up, work was fine and I took the day off to look at apartments. I found a nice 2-bedroom place, put down a deposit and planned to move in on Saturday. I bought a couch, table and chairs from a thrift store to be delivered Saturday afternoon. I decided to take my current bed and home office items with me. When I got home they were already eating dinner. They hadn't set a plate for me, which was fine since I wasn't planning to eat with them. I made a huge sandwich, grabbed chips and a beer and headed to my office. "Dad, why are you being such an idiot?" Carly exclaimed, entering my office. "Your mother cheated on me, showed no respect and threw it in my face. I made it clear what would happen if she did and she did it anyway. You can't ruin our family over this. It was just sex." "Carly, imagine your future husband telling you he's going on a date with a younger woman and will spend the night with her. Would you be okay with that?" "I wouldn't like it, but if it was only once and he promised to come back, I'd hope I loved him enough to get over it. If he told me first, it wouldn't seem like cheating. When you say your vows, imagine looking into your fiancé's eyes and telling him you're off to have fun with another man." I turned back to my work. Wednesday evening was an ambush. When I got home, both sets of parents were there. I understood why her parents would be on her side, but I was puzzled that my parents were there too. Tom Charles began. "Kayla's mother and I are disappointed in what she did, but you're overreacting. It was just one mistake in 20 years. You have 2 wonderful kids. Don't destroy your family over one incident. It wasn't a small mistake. It was a planned event. She told me just an hour before, giving me no chance to resist." "Son," Mom intervened. "She didn't cheat. She told you first. She didn't ask. She just told me. Even when I objected, she didn't care. I told her what would happen if she went through with it and she did it anyway." "Tom," my father said, "I understand your pain and anger, but think of your family. We love you and are here to help you heal. Kayla still loves you and insists she won't do it again. With counseling and effort, you can overcome this. Tearing the family apart isn't the answer. Think of your mother and me. These are our grandchildren, and we'll do whatever it takes to maintain a relationship with them." I was stunned. My parents were on her side, telling me to accept her cheating. I couldn't take it anymore. I turned and walked to my bedroom, shutting the door in Kayla's face. 10 minutes later, I changed into jeans, a casual shirt, and boots. I walked through the living room and out the door without saying a word, ignoring their attempts to talk to me. I drove to the sports bar for dinner and a few beers. When I returned about 4 hours later, the house was quiet and dark. Thursday and Friday were the same. I ignored Kayla and the kids were still mad at me. Kayla hadn't noticed the credit cards weren't working yet, but she would when she went shopping on Saturday. Friday night, I was in my office sorting through my things, deciding what to take the next day. Kayla entered, wearing a see-through nightgown, stockings, garter belt, and heels. She looked amazing. "The kids are sleeping elsewhere tonight. It's time to forget this nonsense and come to bed with me. I need you to take me back." "No thank you. Besides, I haven't seen the clinic report confirming you're clean. Stop being ridiculous. I need you back in my bed. Your tantrums aren't helping. Now come on, I'm passionate and need sex." "They're not interested. If you don't, I'll call Clarence again." "So what if it's a one-time thing?" "It was a one-time thing, but if you keep rejecting me, you're pushing me to someone else. Have fun. Let me know if you bring him here so I can leave." She stormed out, slamming the door behind her. I heard the front door slam and her tires screech as she drove off. I took advantage of the empty house to gather my things. I disassembled the bed and loaded it into the truck along with most of my clothes. I slept on the couch in my office that night. Early the next morning, I went to the leasing office to get my apartment key. It took a while, but I moved everything from the truck into the apartment with help from friendly neighbors. When I got back, the house was still empty. A neighbor's teenage son helped me load my desk and office furniture into the truck. I moved the computer, printer, and accessories and decided to take the chair too. Either no one came home or they didn't notice my office and spare bedroom were empty. In the evening, my phone rang. It was my daughter. "Daddy, where are you?" "I'm home, honey." "No, you're not. Your office is empty, the bed and dresser are gone from the spare bedroom, and your chair isn't in the living room. Plus your truck is gone." "You're right, I'm not there. I've moved into an apartment. Maybe after the divorce I'll buy a house, but this will do for now." "Geez, Dad, I can't believe you're being so stupid. I thought you loved us." "I do love you, sweetheart. Always have and always will. Just not enough to stay with us. I'm not leaving you. You'll still see me as much as you want. I'll still take care of you and your brother. You abandoned us and are destroying the family. Your mother is the one who destroyed the family." I told her what would happen if she went on that date, but she did it anyway. "But she thought you loved her enough to get over it, and I thought she loved me enough not to do it." "Okay, whatever." She hung up. The divorce was a nightmare. She fought it to the end. "Counseling?" She wanted me to pay, I refused. I argued she should pay if she needed it. That was one of the few arguments I won. The counselor didn't like me because I told him I was ordered to attend but didn't have to participate. I endured all 12 sessions before he gave up. She fought over everything, even things she hated, just to make the divorce harder. She limited my time with the kids as much as possible. Eventually, the judge granted the divorce. I had to pay half the mortgage, child support of $2,000 a month and $100,000 a month in spousal maintenance for 5 years unless she remarried. She moved Clarence in before the divorce was finalized. Half my paycheck went to her. I cashed out investments to buy a small house needing renovation. I got it cheap and moved in with my tools. The house had basic utilities and I worked on it in the evenings and weekends. Visitation was a disaster. Kayla did everything to prevent it. Thanks for listening. This story isn't over yet and things are about to get even more intense. Stay tuned for the next part to see what happens next.